purple tank's playing with a ball of algae. I'll leave it for the minute. I mustn't forget to take it out. Right, long time no update. And in the last, since I did the last video, the last update was a while back. I think it's been 2 or 3 weeks since I did the update on the Amtasia, which I've only just decided what I want to do. I was this close to buying, to be honest with you, buying that copper band. I changed my mind on the rabbit fish real fast, because it's just one of those things, just in case things go fucky in the future, because you never know what's going to happen. I bailed on that one because I'd never want to have to you know, rehome it or anything and never see it again or whatever. But I basically shut the idea down on the copper band too, just for the reasons I said in the video. I don't want to see it get the shit kicked out of it. I don't want to put any, you know, extra pressure or stress on the purple tank either. What a cool looking fish. I would never want to see that get white spot or anything, so don't get me wrong. I've gone with peppermint shrimp, and if something doesn't work out with them or whatever, then, you know, there's every chance the little copper band could come back into the picture. But I'm really hoping that the peppermint shrimp work out. To add on to that, obviously, because the reason I was saying I wouldn't get the peppermint shrimp in the Amtasia video was because butterbean, the banded coral shrimp, or the boxer shrimp, would kill them. Basically, it'd eat them. So I bought myself a net. The whole time since I moved house, I've not had any nets, so I've got a net. If anything goes wrong, then I can net him out, put him in the sump, and see what happens. Quite a few near tank crash problems occurred while in the last few months. I've been not in the slightest bit neglecting the tank necessarily, but I said before we was having an extension that's near enough done, but that's been kind of taking hold a lot recently, and I've done a lot of overtime and stuff like that, so I've just not really done that much in terms of filming. I did film a review of the what they call D&D lenses, and I didn't recommend that much to them, but the way I'd done the video, I want to try and do something a micron more professional than what I did, so I'm going to do that video again. So a few of the things that kind of went wrong. Skimmer rarely works properly. Like, literally, at this point, I don't even think I would fix it up or clean it up real good and sell it on. I think I'd drop kick it down the garden, honestly. Like, it's not doing its job for me, so I wouldn't want to sort of lure anyone else into thinking that it's going to do a good job for them. I'm going to try one last thing with it, which I'm going to film, so you'll see what that is when the video comes out. And if that doesn't work, to be honest with you, I'm just about ready to get another skimmer if I need to. I've also toyed with the idea of not bothering with a skimmer anyway, because I don't really think it's particularly done that much for my tank in the last probably 6 months, to be honest with you. All the pressure's been on either a minimal amount of water changes that I do, the ALR1, or the carbon and phos that I run in there. Somewhat, you know, more than I previously did, down to because I don't make too much of a habit of using a lot of carbon and phos remover. I've started using them a little bit more because I feel like I'm needing to rely on that sort of stuff a little bit more, based on the fact that my skimmer's not doing too good. Other things, obviously, back to the Amtasia deal. I bought 2 what are supposed to be true AP in peppermint shrimps. If things work out with them, I'll buy 2 more, or I'll buy 4 more. I'll probably 2, because it's not that big a tank really. But the Amtasia have literally, you know, I think I've pushed weight in just as much as I possibly can. Like, you know, in comparison to I don't want to rag on other YouTubers, so to say, because obviously I'm a big fan of quite a few of them, some big names as well, but I'm never gonna. That's a talk for another video, I think. But yeah, I've down to those couple of mishaps with that. I think I can put down to the minimal amount of algae that had started growing again. Great. While this was being built, I had a problem getting RO, which is why I released that video 1 or 2 before this one comes out. It's quite a recent video of how I've plumbed it into my RO DI unit into the main water supply of the house. But while I was doing that, while this was all being skimmed and whatever, excreted, whatever you want to call it, I couldn't put any RO in there. I was working a lot of night shifts at the time, and I just forgot about it, to be honest with you. To the point where I couldn't wait for the RO to be made. So while it was being made, I only put 2, I don't know what they are, 500 ml, so a litre of bottled water. So that went in there. I'm sure it's probably put a couple of good things in there, to be honest. I don't know, but we'll say it's probably been more detrimental to the system than good. But given the situation, I don't think it was that much of a problem. Like it's not like it's overrun with algae. It'll bounce back. Another problem off the top of my head. Well, it's not a problem. It's just something I need to do. I need to take these pumps off and give them all a good clean. I think I'm going to buy one more pump. Also, for those of you who don't know, Max Spec are actually bringing out another Gyres pump with like a weird sort of flow director on the top of it. It's like so that's your pump. It comes off over there. Look into it. I think for some places, Charterhouse Aquatics, I think, are doing it. There's an indie guy who's taking pre-orders for that pump as well, and it's going to piss me off if I don't mention that when I've mentioned a big fucking online company. I think it might have been Oasis. Anyway, Google that if you're into the Max Spec series of pumps, the Gyres. They're really fucking good. Mine are just about being overrun with coralline algae now. The bottom glass is sort of getting there. Obviously that's a massive area. The downside to the pump's not working quite right is detritus build-up's real bad. When I said a second ago about getting another pump, I want to get another pump on this side. So there'll literally be a pump on every pane of glass bar the front glass. Because this large plate at the left side of the tank collects that much detritus, you wouldn't believe it. Like, it doesn't look a lot. Like, in a minute I'll go to take this off filming my piece of shit face, and I'll fucking zoom in on all this. But it doesn't look like there's a lot of detritus really. But if you brush your hand over it like that, it's fucking cloud. Like, it's quite cloudy now because I've been arsing around with it, and I've just cleaned the glass for the video and stuff like that. Another thing is, I really don't know what I want to do with that plate. I've not got an idea. I nearly bought some more SPS today. I nearly bought a strawberry shortcake, spatch, acros, millies and shit, slimer, Ballygreen slimer, which isn't even, it's not like a real fancy coral or anything, but when I first got into, actually when I first ever seen SPS corals in person, it's in like 2008 or something like that, in college. I'm sure they had a Ballygreen slimer. They had the one reef tank. It was mainly like brackish and tropical. They had a half decent sized reef tank with a slimer in it. And ever since I saw that, I was like, what a cool looking coral. And I've seen them since under the actinic lighting and stuff like that. And when they get their colour good, they get their colour good. And like, as far as green corals go, which I'm not not a huge fan of. Like, you see people who get these tanks and it's just fucking everything's fluorescent green. This bores me. But as far as green corals go, that's one green coral that I've really always wanted. So that, a Pikachu acro, something else. I haven't bothered doing it because you know, these Antasias need sorting out. Really, that should be my main goal. A couple of weeks back, I nearly put my name down on a couple of very high-end acros and stuff like that. So my attentions are still in that sort of realm of thinking. But not that a new pump could change that. Whether I want acros and hard corals and stuff on this platform over here on the plate rock. It's a big rock, man. It's probably a bit over a foot by a foot. You know, decent plate size. But I've been really toying with the idea of getting a bunch of Avelopora and just Alveopora, whatever you want to call them, and just nesting it with them. Alveopora garden. Kind of think that would be really cool. It might get a bit difficult down the road if they can't handle the flow when, assuming that these SPS are going to grow bigger. When I start, you know, obviously as especially hard corals grow bigger, you're going to need to keep increasing that flow from, you know, every year or so, increase it a bit more, however the situation is. Would there be a point where it gets too much for these? You know, speaking of flowing fucking corals up, my 24k LIFO coral, which is awesome, so it's really started basing out now. Actually, just before it started basing out, before it even really reached the plug, as far as basing out goes, I changed the Jabo fucking RW8 or whatever it's called from the side panel where it was previously to just there where you can see it now. I put it on full beam and yeah, it took about 2 seconds to start wiping the flesh off that coral, so I moved it all out of the way. It's pretty much completely healed now, you'll see in a minute. But yeah, little mistakes. Always be careful of stuff like that because it takes no time at all. The high flow only has to hit some LPS once and it'll just tarnish them. That's why a lot of people say, like, everyone thinks this pure SPS tanks are the be-all end-all, the hardest tanks to do. Obviously they're quite difficult in some respects and they're potentially quite expensive in regards to some of the upgrades you sort of have to make. Having a mixed aquarium where you've got some LPS, softies and SPS, especially SPS and LPS in terms of flow, that's where it gets difficult because most corals, like most softies and LPS, can take the high illumination that SPS require, but flow is where it really starts to fuck them up. Again, people say, well, you got that low nutrient, whatever you want to call it, low nitrate and low phosphate systems that you have the SPS in, especially for those who keep acro. People say, well, a lot of the LPS won't live in that. They will, you just got to be asked to feed them. It's basically all it boils down to. If you give them the food, it won't make no odds to them. So yeah, basically I've wombled on a bit. If you got any thoughts on what I want to do with that, give us an idea. I mean, I change my mind so regularly on what I want to do. You know, you're never going to see... I'm on the verge of rambling about other YouTubers again. I was going to say you're never going to see me rush a tank. It's, you know, at the end of the day, it's my main objective is to make these two little things grow. These things grow. The purple tang, I want it to look better than anyone else's purple tang. Stuff like that. I want everything to look in its prime condition. I'm not like, fucking hell, I've had the tank a week, I've got to get some bollocks. Cycle your tank in 30 seconds, shit. And go out and buy a shitload of damsels or whatever else. I'm not into it, really not into it, and I don't think you appreciate the fish as much. This is a talk for another day. If not that anyone ever comments on my videos, but if you want to sort of get what I'm talking about, then let us know. I'll talk about the sump in the following update, because again, there's at least one big point that I want to make with that. So I think that's about it really. I'm going to whip the camera off and we'll have a bit of a closer look. So here's the little millie. You can just see a little bit of that algae coming back, what I mentioned. Hopefully that'll be gone soon enough. But the millie, you know, at first glance doesn't really look like it's growing that much, and the rock where I stuck it dips right in, but you can probably just about make out where it's basing out, but I can't really see again now. It's about a £2 coin size all the way around that. This acro at the back here is doing real good. The Setosa is doing brilliantly, and I love this coral. Digitata is starting to grow real fast. I've considered moving that over to, well, just somewhere else. I probably won't, just because I worry that every time you move any coral, it knocks them back so much that I don't know whether I'm going to bother, but it's in the back of my mind that I might, purely because, you know, now that I've got, touch wood, the SPS growth slow and steady, you know, I've got the growth, but it's not exactly flying by. I do want more of the sort of special things on these two platforms. This Mystic Montipora, out of all the corals I've got, this one's taken the longest to start growing, which surprises me, to be honest. And to be fair, in the past couple of weeks, it's been knocked on its face about 3 times by snails, but starting to look real cool, starting to colour up. Obviously, this camera's never going to pick up the true colours of it, but real nice looking coral. I'm sure that's going to turn into a real beauty. Not very clear on video, but there's a massive lump of sponge growing back there, and there's quite a few spots, kind of hard to film, but there's quite a few spots like this all over the tank where there's just a ton of sponge growth. Another Monty here, a encrusting. Obviously I'm wanting this to base out on the entire of the bottom glass. Well, not the whole thing, but I'm just experimenting really. I'm wanting it to grow out on the bottom glass. This was the coral that was actually stuck on the back weir. Yeah, it's just ended up there and I glued it down there. This Avalopora started doing real well. Again, doesn't look so big on camera, but it's a decent couple of inches around, same as the other one. Interestingly enough, I've got this one in very high flow in regards to, you know, LPS and stuff. The polyp sizes are a lot smaller than the one I've got that's in low flow, so you'll see in a minute. Cocoa worm doing well, despite the fact that my tang decided he's going to start chewing on the shell. He's doing fine really. I was all worried about my copper bandit. If I'd got a copper bandit, it'd eat this, but it was my purple tang that turned on it, so what are the odds? Forest fire branching away. Another acro doing quite well. If I take back what I said a minute ago, the algae looks a lot worse on film. Fucking apes. Couple of nice hours. And this LIFO finally started basing out. I've stuck it on this rock because initially I also wanted this to play out onto the, encrust onto the bottom glass of the tank. But then it got quite close, to be honest, and I just decided to stick it on this bit of rock. So, you know, hopefully it'll grow out onto that and, you know, it'll look like quite a nice little piece. Super cool colour. I love this coral. This is the other Avalopora that I was talking about. And the polyps on this look really small now, but this is usually about a bit bigger than a golf ball maybe. But but it's only just started coming out. I suppose I should have left it a little bit longer because, as I said, I had asked around with the tank, and I tried getting all the detritus off this rock, and it, you know, it retracted. So it's still only just starting to peep out. Another thing I cocked up on, not checking my alkalinity every night. For those of you who got SPS tanks and you want to succeed and you want to do well, I really suggest that's something that you just get into the habit of doing, like it's second nature, you know. So I went from doing it once a night to sometimes twice daily, you know, to once a week while this has been done, but I'll get back into the swing of it, don't worry. So I'm going to leave it there. I'll do a sump update. I'll probably do like a sort of sump update / final opinion of the ALR1. I've got a sort of review of the DD coral lenses coming up. New stuff that should be here tomorrow. And I'm thinking of doing a sort of channel update because this is my first year. Well, technically, I think I actually started the channel in 2017. But I was thinking about doing a sort of update on where I want to take the channel and what I'm actually planning on doing. But I'll leave it there anyway. Like, comment and subscribe and all that bollocks. And more words. Cheers. Keep it wet. I think I cocked up on before I go. I stopped testing my alkalinity every night. Not fucking hell.